President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, sent a message to the workers of the Simón Bolívar hydroelectric power plant for rapid response after sabotage last Friday. The Liberty and Refoundation Party, known as Partido Libre, ratified its absolute support to President Xiomara Castro and rejected the interference of the United States. In Israel, the main trade union center, Histadrut, has called for a general strike to demand an agreement for the release of the hostages and to protest against the government of Benjamin Netanyahu. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, sent a message to the workers of the Simón Bolívar hydroelectric power plant who in less than 24 hours restored the electric service after the attack to the heart of the Guri system that left the country without power. The report with Madeleine Garcia.
The view does not reach the majesty of the Simón Bolívar hydroelectric power plant, considered the fourth largest in the world. This is where electricity is produced for the entire country. The road leads us to the heart of the Guri system that was attacked in the early hours of Friday, August 30, 2 days after the presidential elections that ratified Nicolás Maduro as president of Venezuela. Beneath these great walls are the turbines that generate the electricity produced by the Caroni River, which is dammed here in the state of Bolívar in the southeast of the country. This time, the aggression attempted to liquidate this dam, unlike in 2019, which was the first large-scale attack on the system.
Because it went directly to the Guri. It went directly to the main bus bar, and when we say main bus bar, it is the main source of generation of the country, and that immediately brings as a consequence a cascade effect in all of the rest of the country, and of course in all the national geography, because this is an interconnected system. The transmission line that comes from Guri to El Tigre were attacked, and that brought as a consequence an action of some equipment in which a destabilization of the frequency was produced.
Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez and the Minister of Electricity arrived here. They supervised that everything is going well in the different areas. This is the operations command room of the Guri distribution yard. From here, the energy generated in the powerhouse of the hydroelectric plant is controlled and distributed and transmitted to the center, east, and west of the country.
We must be alert to these perverse extremist plans.
The whole world on alert. The plans of the Venezuelan ultra-right wing and the threats do not cease. This is how they left a record of what the attacks was able to break in.
A political leadership that has the task of coordinating what is done inside and what is done outside, surrounding the hostage taker as it is done when you have a prolonged hostage situation, cutting off his water and electricity.
They are the operators of the United States in Venezuela who are facing an escalation of aggression, an attempted coup d'etat that is still in full swing and is now being expressed in the electrical system.
No one is going to stop this country. What is coming are years of prosperity and well-being for us.
This is the Guri control room where everything is monitored. It is the brain. That day at dawn, the workers, technicians, and experts did not stop. Since a 19-year-old girl who is part of the team had never experienced a similar situation.
I was very nervous, but we tried as much as possible to solve and resolve the situation and to be there for our people.
I want to bring you a message of gratitude from the President, because the Corpoelec workers have always been on the front line in defense of the Venezuelan people, and we know the tremendous effort they have given.
President Maduro sent a message to all his workers. Venezuela remains under siege.
With the determination of the ultra-right wing, extremism, and now fascism, and the gringos to attack in order to destroy the world heart that provides electricity to our country from Guyana. Maximum commitment to the homeland, maximum loyalty, maximum technical capacity. In record time, in a safe, stable, and very robust manner, the electric service was delivered to the people of Venezuela. My gratitude.
Investigations continue to find the perpetrators and masterminds of this new attack on the electrical system.
In other news, in Bolivia, forestry and land authorities confirmed that they will deliver in the next few days a regulation of Supreme Decree 5230, which strengthens the punishment against arsonists in the country. After a week of facing the forest fires, the Director of Legal Affairs of the National Protected Area Service, Ramiro Vidautre, declared that the Forestry and Land Authority is working on the regulation of the Supreme Decree that will be formally delivered to the national government and the Ministry of Environment and Water. It is worth mentioning that to date, 274 administrative sanctioning processes are being followed for the fires in the country. And in Honduras on Sunday night, the Liberty and Re-Foundation Party, known as Partido Libre, ratified its absolute support to President Xiomara Castro and rejected the interference of the United States. After concluding an extraordinary session, the Partido Libre communicated the decision to repel external threats that may alter the realization of elections in 2025. In a statement read by the Honduran Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Gerardo Torres, was also denounced the interference. The declarations by the United States Ambassador Laura Togu and retired military personnel, which, according to several sectors, point to a conspiracy for a new coup d'etat. In this context, the ruling party called for a large mobilization in the Honduran capital on September 15th in support of President Xiomara Castro, in addition to celebrate the appointment of Rick Moncada as new defense minister.
To ratify the absolute and unwavering support to Comrade Xiomara Castro and to actively accompany her courageous and firm decisions to maintain peace and security and respect for the independence, sovereignty, and self-determination of our people. To repel external threats that threaten the realization of clean, free, democratic elections in the year 2025, and thus avoid a repetition of the tragic events of the coup d'état of July 28, 2009. To condemn and reject the interference of the Embassy of the United States of America by attacking the Chief of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the Armed Forces and the former Minister of Defense in violation of international principles and conventions trying to provoke the destabilization of the armed forces.
Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the United States, 10,000 hotel workers went on strike to demand higher wages and a return to pre-COVID-19 pandemic staffing levels. According to the union that called the strikes, the large chain hotels were affected by the abandonment of 5,000 workers in the Hawaiian capital, Honolulu, alone, which affected the service of more than 10,000 rooms. Also pointed out in a statement that many hotels took advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic to reduce staff, which caused workers to lose their jobs and incomes. In this sense, the strikers concentrated in several hotels in Boston and called a demonstration for Monday. In other news, in Libya, citizens celebrate the 55th anniversary of the Al-Fateh revolution that led to the overthrow of the monarchy and brought Muammar al-Gaddafi to power. According to local media, the people took to the streets of the country with slogans and waving the green flag used during Gaddafi's stay as a symbol of the heroic revolution. In this sense, the citizens expressed their conviction that Libya will be green again and the legacy of Muammar al-Gaddafi will prevail for years to come at the political and social levels. It's important to note that the Al-Fateh revolution was a coup d'etat led by Muammar al-Gaddafi against King Idris I, motivated by public discontent over corruption, foreign influence, and the inefficiency of the monarchical government. In the occupied West Bank, Israel's military operation in the Jenin refugee camp has resulted in the death of at least 24 Palestinians, including 14 members of militant groups, in the past 5 days. The Israeli military has escalated its operations in Palestinian territories, particularly in Jenin, under the pretext of combating alleged terrorist threats. This escalation of violence resulted in severe humanitarian crisis that led to the displacement of numerous families. Residents are facing critical shortages of food and medicine, and many are too terrified to leave their homes. The ongoing violence reflects a broader pattern of oppression against the Palestinian people, who have endured increasing casualties and displacement since the onset of the conflict in October 2023.
We live in terror and fear for the children, in addition to the fact that we have infants in the building who have no milk or diapers, no bread, no food for the rest of the residents. No one dares to go out because there is a sniper in the Rayyan building who shoots at anything he sees. I went out at a risk. I walked close to the wall so that the sniper would not see me in order to get here, in order to bring bread and water to drink.
In Israel, the main trade union center Istartut called for a general strike to demand an agreement for the release of the hostages and to protest against the government of Benjamin Netanyahu. Although the duration of the strike has not been specified, one of the most significant measures is the cancellation of all flights at Ben Gurion International Airport. Furthermore, dozens of businesses and restaurants have decided to close their doors, in addition to universities, hospitals, banks, stores, and several public offices, which are either paralyzed or working at minimum capacity. The action comes after the recent recovery of the 6 bodies of Israeli prisoners that has intensified criticism of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, accused of obstructing negotiations with the Palestinian resistance Hamas. And the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees has accused the Israeli government of buying ads on Google to block users from giving donations to the agency. UNRWA Commissioner General Philip Lazzarini said in a post on X that Israel's attempts to defame the agency damaged its reputation and put the lives of its staff at risk. Lazzarini called for more regulations for companies, including social media platforms, to combat disinformation and hate speech. Israel has been campaigning for years against UNRWA, for the main organization providing humanitarian aid to Palestinians in the occupied territories and services to Palestinian refugees in other countries since 1949, alleging it has connection to terrorists and pushing for its closure. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. A final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The far-right Alternative for Germany party led the regional elections held in the state of Thuringia. Local media estimate that the advance of the party with openly xenophobic positions was related to the increase of anti-immigrant tendencies. Likewise, the victory of the far-right is something unprecedented in the country since the post-war period, and it's unlikely that it will lead the region, since the other formations reject any coalition with the party that based its discourse against immigration and military support to the Ukrainian regime. Regarding the results, the far-right formation obtained about 33.1% of the votes, ahead of the conservative of the Christian Democratic Union of Germany party with 24.3%, according to the first exit polls. Poland commemorated the 85th anniversary of the start of the Second World War in a solemn ceremony to remember the first attacks by Nazi Germany. The commemorative events took place in Westerplatte on the Baltic coast of the country, where Germany bombed a Polish fort on September 1st, 1939. According to the Polish press, Warsaw and Berlin are holding talks on financial compensation for surviving victims of the conflict, while Polish President Andrzej Duda took part in the events in the town of Wałom, in the west of the country, where the first German bombs fell 85 years ago. In France, on another day of competition at the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games, Venezuela won its first gold medal. In the track of the Stadium of France, the 400 meters T11 race took place, and the Venezuelan Anderson Santos, in a spectacular performance, won the gold medal in the T11 class with a time of 50.58 seconds, improving his personal best with his guide Ubric Massa. The Venezuelan para-athlete beat in a phenomenal finish in the last meters the French Timothy Adolphe, who marked a time of 50.75 to win silver medal, and Guillaume Atangana, representative of the Rougi delegation, won the bronze medal with a time of 50.89. This is the second medal for Venezuela so far in this 17th edition of the Paralympic Games. Let's now go to Cuba. We will learn about Old Havana and its system of fortifications.
Old Havana is the oldest area of the Cuban capital. As a whole, it has a urban layout, where the still remains of the walls that has protected it for more than 2 centuries. The historical center of Havana has maintained a remarkable unity of character resulting from the superimposition of different periods of its history. It manages in a harmonious but expressive way to the original urban design and the underlying pattern of the city. As a whole, it was inscribed as a World Heritage of Humanity before UNESCO in 1982. Founded around 1519 by the Spaniards by the 17th century, it had become one of the main shipbuilding centers in the Caribbean. Old Havana maintains a remarkable unity of architectural character through its adherence to its original design. Its urban square surrounded by buildings of outstanding patrimonial value. The narrow streets of its old town preserve an interesting mixture of Baroque and neoclassical monuments, with an homogeneous group of private houses with arcades, balconies, wrought iron gates and internal courtyards. Today, Old Havana is an expanding metropolis with a population of 2 million inhabitants. The city is undergoing continuous renovation, where it has regained tourism levels. It also has a high degree of authenticity in terms of location and environment. Cultural life in the city includes museums such as the Museum of the Revolution, a ballet festival in the Great Theater, baseball or music such as salsa, son or guaguancó.
And let's move on to Colombia to learn the natural coffee landscape of this region. Let's see.
These productive landscapes are located in certain points of the Caldas, Quindío, Risaralda and northern Valle del Cauca, located in the center and the west of the Andes mountain range. In them are integrated 18 urban settlements, which maintain a harmony between the natural, economic and cultural, which are combined in a mountainous area with coffee plantations, cultivated in collaboration, some of them in clearings of high jungle. The architecture that is found when visiting these spaces is a fusion between Spanish cultural patterns and the indigenous cultures of the region, which are adapted to the process involved in the cultivation of coffee. A clear example of this is the sliding roofs, with large walls that are built by a system that allows them to be more flexible and dynamic. Currently, more than 50% of the walls are built with this traditional method. The natural coffee landscapes are the result of a process of adaptation of the population of Antioquia in the middle of the 19th century. Actions that have created a culture and economic that are rooted in the coffee tradition. The coffee producing farms in mountainous areas, the way of life of the coffee growers is different from what is now because it is based on legacies that have been transmitted throughout time. In 2011, this landscape was inscribed on UNESCO World Heritage List, arguing that it is an exceptional example of a cultural, sustainable and productive landscape, which over time has adapted to the diverse geographical and climatological characteristics that occurs over the years.
We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thanks for watching.